Yeah, I'm probably gonna mess up this interview pretty bad because I'm terrible at it.
Batman number 40 marked the unforgettable conclusion of Scott Snyder's Endgame story arc, featuring the apparent deaths of both the Joker and the Caped Crusader himself. We've got superstar artist Greg Capullo here to tell us how he brought Scott's story to life on the page.
All right, so like on the first page, we had to kind of recall the Red Hood battle where Red Hood gets dropped into the vat of acid. And you don't want to really muck up the page with too much drawing, and so I tried to simplify it. And the first idea was to show Batman's cowl so that you got it was going on in his mind, and one of the cool things, I like to play with reflections a lot. And so, I see Red Hood's falling into the vat and you see Batman is trying to save him. I thought that was the most interesting way to do that. I mean, one of the classic things that you've seen a million times is the big hand coming into the frame, in the foreground. And I just did it a little differently. I think it's more interesting to have Batman with the distorted hand reaching out. That's the beauty of directing, every director has a different way of telling his story and you're all getting the same information across, right? Both the other way I mentioned would have served it just as well, but this is my style and the Capullo style. And being right, like here, this is some of the fun I had. It's like he has to pick up, Dick, but he had the iPad type device with him. So I think about how, I would do that. I have to pick up a grown man. I'd probably put it in my teeth. So I did that. But I purposely put it downward to set me up for this next shot. We see the Joker and his reaction, but we're also reminding the reader of what it was that was on the screen. So we kind of kill two birds with one stone by doing it that way. And this is a good example of trying to take, a very casual action and making it look interesting. Okay, so Scott says, Batman is dipping this device into this pool of stuff. All right, well, I could have been above ground and profile above his head, whatever. I go, no, it's cooler to put him, you're in the water. So when the device gets poked through, you get these cool ripple things. Batman's all distorted. It's just a cooler, interesting shot than being above ground and showing his hand going in the water. So I try and think of the most interesting ways to present the information. And stuff like this where, the shadows against the wall and unfortunately the word balloons clog up the shape of the knife where he's about to attack again. But this comes from old movies, you could find old movies with James Cagney shooting somebody and you see the guy in shadow being shot. You don't see the guy taking the bullet, it's just the guy going, the shape of him on the wall. So that's interesting storytelling that's borrowed from cinema. And so I try and include those kind of shots because they're cool and they're interesting. And we have this page here and Batman's about to pounce on Joker and take him over the cliff. And so a silhouette can really tell you a lot about the character if you see, Batman's, like a linebacker crushing into him, but the Joker's gleeful and his hands are up, wee, like he's on a roller coaster ride, right? Because the Joker's crazy. So he's about to be piled off a cliff. He's not worried about us breaking his neck or anything. He's like, wee, it's fun. And so that silhouette gives you all that. You don't actually see the face. You don't see anything but a shape, but the shape tells you the story. Let me go back here. Scott had this idea of cutting the smiley face and then stabbing to make eyes. So when I'm given something very specific like that, then it's all building toward that. So I choreograph all this stuff. And so the two goals were here is to show how agile the Joker is. That was number one. So agile was part of the script and this smiling thing was part of the script. So how I made the Joker move is how I demonstrated his agility. I mean, he's bouncing over, he's jumping over kicks, he's bouncing off walls, and all the meantime cutting into Batman. And it all ends on this point right here, which Scott was very specific. I got this idea of him cutting the smiley face and stabbing the eyes. In that regard, I built it toward that, but I try and choreograph the fights in a way that feel natural. I've been in a bunch of fights myself. I know how fights go. And so I try and consider the movements that feel natural as you would unfold. So while they're pouring over this cliff here, I'm imagining, how bodies might tumble and what kind of moves might be made along the way. And one of the things is, you got a knife sticking on your back. At one point or another, chances are good, you're gonna hit the ground, those knives are gonna jab you even harder in the back and cause you some pain. So I try and include that kind of stuff and make it all look natural. And then we pull back nice and far so that you see the isolation of these two guys within this hellish setting that's coming apart around them that they're just not even noticing. And then we know that you know, the Joker and Batman have had sort of, well, at least in the Joker's mind, a love affair of sorts. And so we see it here, the two bodies next to each other, because they've both hurt each other so badly they've collapsed, and the blood is forming a broken heart between them. And there's symbolism that's not in the script, but that I go, that'd be cool, right? We had the love affair going on, so let's show the broken heart here as they're killing each other, because it was awesome. And yeah, I guess that's the, yeah, I guess that's it.
The Batman Endgame hardcover is out today, so pick up your copy if you want to relive the entire arc in its gruesome glory. Plus, don't forget to click subscribe because we're going to be unboxing LEGO Dimensions Fun Packs and giving you a first look at the gameplay tomorrow.